to another episode of The Mind of Reese. I'm so excited to be here, to be with you. It is Christmas Eve as I'm shooting this. I'm sure whenever you get to hear this, it'll be weeks later. But yeah, wanted to celebrate my Christmas Eve with you guys. Sunny California. My Christmas tree is a palm tree. I'm just claiming the palm tree outside. I don't know about you, but I definitely know that I'm not a big decorator. I love the holiday season. But it's just more like I like the family vibes. I like to get close with my family and my friends. And this year is just going to be another treat like that. There's something about the energy of the end of the year where it just feels exciting to like get into hibernation a little bit, but also to be like in the vibration of like, ooh, death and rebirth. Like we just had a year end. You know, now we're having a new beginning. I love deaths and rebirths. I mean, even when I was a kid, I always loved change. I had never feared change. It always felt really good change. Like I always felt good with change. So anytime I changed schools, because we did move around enough, like it wasn't a lot, but definitely I've been to like 2 different high schools, 2 different middle schools, 2 different elementary schools. So it was like, you know, we had moved around enough to where it was like, ooh, what version of myself do I want to portray here? What version of myself do I want to portray there? And there was always this idea of like masking. And what's funny is that although that was so wonderful for me to get through when it came to, you know, moving schools, I was like, oh, what version of myself do I want to be? And there's just felt like something fun, but also as I look back, it was very an insecure moment for me because I hid behind a fake confidence in that. I walked around like I own the place, you know, it was all these things. I was very sweet and kind, but also just made it seem like I didn't give any fucks, even though I gave so many fucks about what people thought of me. And this, you know, this childhood thing, this characteristic that I would do became like the new personality. So anytime I would be somewhere new or I'd move or something, it would always be like, okay, what version of myself do I want in this iteration of, or this chapter of my life? And it was really hard to get to know myself authentically. I didn't understand integrity. I didn't understand what it was to be asking myself what it is I wanted to be, who I wanted to be. It was always, oh, who do I need to be in order for people to like me best? And now it makes so much sense that I am in an entrepreneurial business where I am the brand. And of course, the online space, I live in the tech world. Like I could have been born in any other era, and this just so happened to be the one I am born in. So I believe in synchronicities. I believe I was meant to be here at this time during the crazy boom of all the science and technology stuff that's been happening, and being able to grow things so fast and be seen by so many. And it's just like so much impact, and yet so much trauma, triggers, wounds are coming up so much faster than they would if perhaps there wasn't an online space, there wasn't social media. And so the reason why I bring this up is because the other day I had posted a post about living in duality. And I love the me that needed to have a different face and wear a mask because it protected her from rejection, abandonment, unworthiness, not enoughness, you know, imposter syndrome, whatever it was that you pretty much put all fears, basic fears, all the fears that we all have, put them in a little ball and stick them inside this body. And it was basically my way of avoiding all of that pain, right? Because there's 2 ways that humans can operate. We're either being pulled by pleasure or we're being pushed by pressure. Like I felt like my entire life I had been pushed to do certain things because I thought that that's what people wanted from me, or I thought that that's how people would like me, or that's how I thought I would get validated in some way. And so it was always pushed by pressure. I was always pushed. It was never pulled by pleasure. I never did things that I wanted to do. I did in a way, but it was like, was it me or was it my ego? Was it someone else telling me what success looks like, you know? And there was like this disconnect and discord between me, my inner wisdom, my highest self, and Mother Earth. You know, I look at it from like a three connective place. Like my feet touch the ground, keeps me grounded on this three-dimensional plane. That's Mother Earth. I have my heart space, my body, my inner spiritual body, which is me, my high self, my intuitive wisdom. I kind of look at it from like the heart space, because the heart space is it's the bridge between, you know, the third dimension and the fifth dimension. And then I have spirit, God, angels, guides, whatever you look to as my fifth dimensional connection. And once these things are all aligned, then it's like I can actually hear the intuitive wisdom where spirit, Mother Earth, and is trying to guide and utilize the little nudges, those nudges that we feel in our bodies. It's like, yes, this is definitely happening for me. Like, I just feel it. I could just feel it. Like when you have that feeling, I could just feel it. Yeah, I could just feel it. And we have that feeling in our body, and whatever I'm believing at the time is like, what am I capable of, what my beliefs are around my capabilities. I'm going to either be pulled by pleasure in that direction, or I'm going to be pushed by pressure in a direction. And normally what happens, if that feeling of go, that yummy feeling is like, yes, I want this, but I can't afford it. I don't have time. How am I going to do this? And then your ego gets in the way. Of course, you're going to be pushed in a direction by pressure. You're like, my ego is pressuring me to stay comfortable, so I'm going to be pushed in the direction where I just feel comfy. Or I'm going to be pushed in the direction where, for instance, for example, it's like, oh my goodness, I've grown up with body image issues my whole life. I've gone the anorexic route. That was hard because I love to eat. And then there was also the bulimic route, but I didn't like throwing up, so that didn't feel good. So then there was the drug route, which is cocaine, which was the best because it was a suppressant. Cigarettes were suppressant. And those were the things that I relied on in order to feel, or to look like I had abs, but not, and like look like I was healthy. But, you know, I didn't look healthy. I looked like 100 pounds with a bobblehead. And so it was like, there was this push to look a certain way. So I was pushed by pressure to look a certain way because I have a thought process in my mind that tells me I need to look this way in order to be liked. And so I'm being pushed by pressure to do that. Instead of being pulled by desire, now having and continuously practicing and working on self-love for my body and looking at my body, my naked body in the mirror, and loving on all the parts of myself that sometimes I just thought was like, why can't I look like this? Why can't I look like the societal conditioned way of what people think that hot, sexy women should look? And I just couldn't handle that I had hips. I couldn't handle that I had my inner thighs touching. Like, I just couldn't. Like, it was just driving me bananas. And then, you know, as I start to flip the switch, as I start to change the relationship I have with my body and the way that I see myself, I start to get pulled in the direction of like, ooh, I get to work out today. And ooh, I am so devoted to my body so that she feels good. I want to feel healthy over looking healthy, quote unquote. It's like, that's that operation. So, and nobody can live in both. You're only living in one. Every decision you make, you're living in one. You're either being pulled by passion, desire, pleasure, or you're being pushed by pressure. Either one. And that's between you and you. So ask yourself the questions every time you come up against a crossroad and you're like, where do I actually want to go? And asking your body and sitting in your body in this, because the more that we can sit and get to know ourselves, especially through like meditation, especially somatic meditation, visualization meditation, we start to heal our auras, heal the energy within us, heal the limiting beliefs that tamps down the energy and our energetic field. And it's so funny because when I think about your aura, all your aura is an electromagnetic field that surrounds your body. This can actually be measured by a contraption called Sputnik. And you can measure where your chakras or your energy centers, if they're aligned, if they're not aligned, and you can measure your auric field or your electromagnetic field, the energetic field that's surrounding you. And so that electromagnetic field is meant to do two things. It's meant to repel negative energy, and it's meant to magnetize vibrational energy that you want to draw to you, dependent upon what energy you're sending out. Now, if I'm being pushed because of pressure to do something, to perform, to be something, because I think X, Y, and Z, that someone will like me better because of this, or, you know, I won't get hated on because of that, whatever it might be, I am actually shrinking that auric field. I'm shrinking my electromagnetic field, where the moment we start to feel like life is just out of control, and we're like, oh my gosh, I have no control over my life. I'm up and down all the time. Things are great, things are bad, things are great, things are bad. It's like every 2 seconds, things are happening. And you're just like, wow, I have no balance, because your energetic field no longer has boundaries to repel the negative energy. It no longer has that boundary to help you repel the things that are not for you, because your energetic field, your energy, your aura is not healthy. It's not expanded. It's contracted. Anytime you're feeling, oh, I gotta do this. It's pressure. I gotta do this. Or, oh, well, this person said that this is what success looks like. I gotta do this. Or, oh, I want to raise my prices, but I can't. Like, it's just, there's no way my clients, they just don't want to pay me that much money. Like, there's no way I'm going to make that much. It's like that, all of that indecision really is what shrinks and contracts the auric field. Now, it's not bad. It's just nice to understand what's happening to you from a scientific perspective, because of the fact that we get to actually heal that so much. And of course, through my own meditation, through I Love Meditation, of course, and we do have a free meditation here. If you want that free meditation and you want to download that meditation, please go ahead and do so. It's in the show notes. Have at it. But that's meditation to so many things. There's theta healing in that, because when you can get from your alpha, high beta, low beta, high beta out of those brainwaves and get into theta and delta brainwaves while still conscious, while still awake, you're healing your body. That's why sleep is so important. It's like, it's theta healing. It's literally, theta is like the dream. It's like the moment you're about to fall asleep. That's theta, where your brain is just no longer in the conscious realm. It's in the subconscious realm, but you're still awake. And that's how we heal all of our subconscious limiting beliefs, all of our subconscious stuff. That's how we get a chance to reprogram. And the more that you meditate, the more that you get a chance to dive deeper into that theta state while still awake, you can heal those parts of yourself in there. Why? Because you get to have an actual conversation with them. You get to have a different relationship with them, instead of letting them just drive the bus and you feel like something's on autopilot, like the car's driving for you and you're like, what the fuck? And you're trying to turn the wheel, but it won't turn. And you're like, I actually have no control. But instead, when you get into when you get into theta brain waves, when you get into that space in your mind and in your body, you actually heal a lot of the stuff that you can heal in your body. Like a lot of the limiting beliefs, a lot of the capabilities, a lot of the judgments, a lot of the shame. Because oftentimes what happens is that when negative or what we deem a negative feeling happen in the body, like judgment or insecurity or comparison or whatever it might be, we end up shaming that feeling. We shame it. So it's like a double whammy. The thing is that I truly believe in duality. I believe that we are meant to live both. We can have both and. And in this post that I had created, I was saying how I am a girl who grew up with body image insecurities and still practices how sexy she feels as well. She has moments where she loves so hard, but they can become so jealous so easy. And it's like, oh my gosh, but I can love so hard, and that's a quality that everybody deems perfect. But this jealousy is a bad one. So, oh gosh, I gotta shame that jealousy. And it's like, no, actually, if I just didn't shame this and I just offered it space, because obviously it's a beautiful opportunity to get to know myself a little better, why did I have jealousy in that moment? You know what I'm saying? Instead of deeming it and shaming it and trying to move away from it to avoid that feeling, I'm moving into it. I'm being proactive. In moving through it, I'm like, let me just try to understand why I have jealousy in this moment, not make a judgment around it. All of a sudden, I'm giving this feeling space in my body to be felt, because the feelings are real. Feelings are real. They're truth. They're truth in your body. They're truth in your body for you in that moment. Doesn't mean you can't change your truth. Doesn't mean you can't heal those parts of you that seem true now but are not true later. Because that's your truth in the third dimension. Your truth in one consciousness, you are fucking perfect. You are worthy all by just fucking breathing. And so when we look at it from that perspective, it's like, oh my gosh, I get to be in the third dimension and the fifth dimension all at the same time. I'm meant to have a human experience. And if I could just accept and live in the duality, that without there would be no light without the darkness. There would be no yin if there was no yang. There would be no masculine if there was no feminine. Like, we need both. We need both in order for there to be like a cohesive, natural way of living. It has to have both. And so the moment that we can actually just live in the space, or even honor the space, like, yes, I get to live in duality right now. Like, I am living in a world of duality. And that means that I can be so authentic, and that's fucking perfect. Because I can accept the parts of me that are crazy amounts of love to give and to serve, and then also gets jealous, and I love that part of me too. And if I can show that part of me love, and if I could show that part to other people's bodies love, then that means that it's like, wow, I actually can have space to fucking breathe. To be like, oh, I actually don't have to be perfect. I get to be all the things. I get to love on my man wholeheartedly and be so incredibly feeling of equalness. And then I also get to feel the insecurity of being like, what the fuck does he see in me? Why is he even with me? It makes no sense. I get to have those thoughts, and I don't get to shame them. The moment we shame them is the moment we deny them. And the moment we deny them, that means we deny ourselves. We deny ourselves, we abandon ourselves. And then all of a sudden, our auric field shrinks, our electromagnetic field shrinks, and then everything is chaotic. And all we're trying to do is like, chaos is wrong. I can't have chaos. It all has to be perfect all of the time. And I'm only going to look at the things that aren't working. Gosh, of course this isn't working. Of course this happened. Of course this happened. Of course this happened. You know, one of my one-on-ones in Scale, Alondra had said, and I'm going to pull it up right now. She said something so beautiful the other day that I was like, yes, that's it. Everything has to fall apart before it falls together. But let me say that again. Everything has to fall apart before it falls together, right? Duality. Things will fall apart, and you'll realize later on that it was the gift of the rock bottom. You know what I mean? It's the gift of rock bottom. It's the gift of life that we get to live, because we can't have beautiful, joyous, fulfilling days without understanding the dark night of the soul moments. So until we can be okay with it both and have the tools to re-regulate the nervous system and to repair our energy, our auric field, we need to repair these parts of ourselves, because that's the only way that we can find homeostasis in the chaos. Because if you think that you won't have chaos in your life, you are totally lying to yourself. If you don't think that life doesn't have its ups and definitely its downs, you are lying to yourself. And the more you try to avoid it, the more downs you're going to actually have, or you're going to perpetuate, really, because you don't have that protection. Your energy field is chaotic. Your energy is meant to repel negative energy, but when you have contracting feelings, you're shrinking your auric field. What ends up happening is that you have no boundary. You have no protection boundary from other people's energy, from other things' energy. And of course, you're just kind of magnetizing all this weird stuff to you. You're like, oh, this is great. This isn't great. This isn't great. This isn't great. It's like, what the heck? Like, whoa. And it's actually so easy to heal that energetic field. It's so easy, because the moment that we start to feel that dysregulation is the moment that we're like, boom, sign, dysregulation. What do I need to do? So many tools. There's tapping, EFT tapping. There's Kundalini, this neurosomatic meditation. For me, it's meditation. Like, because I'm already high. I'm already high beta, go, 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 go. I'm very much in the masculine energy. My softness, my yin energy, my femme energy comes in like when I can just get quiet in the mind. And when I can allow space for me to feel all the feelings and go into Buddhist death meditations where it's like, okay, let me feel this so well to where I know it's not going to kill me, because that's the only thing your body thinks it's going to happen. It's like, you're trying to kill me. You're trying to kill me with this feeling, so I gotta avoid the feeling. But the more I avoid it, the more I perpetuate it, and the more frustrated I am, the more anxious I am, and then there goes the cycle. And there goes the victim mentality. We gotta understand that if we are going to be in dysregulation when we are always constantly on the path to growth in our business and in our lives. There is going to be some form of dysregulation, and until we have the tools, until you have the tools in your back pocket that you've been practicing on a daily basis, because that's the only way you can create a habit, is by doing it every day. You know, don't get me wrong, I've been meditating for the last 3 years every single day. There are days when I just don't do it, and there are weeks when I just don't feel like it, and that's okay, because I've already cultivated a relationship to my meditation and to my healing work, that I'm like, oh yeah, a week off is totally in my highest alignment. That's totally fine. And every time I come back, I'm like, I wish I never did that. It's like every time I miss a day, I feel a little off. I don't feel as fulfilled or whole without it. I'm like, you know what? Because I love connecting to myself. I love asking the questions of my inner child, my inner wild thing, my highest self, my inner critic, my ego, my judge, you know, my inner teenager, my young adult. Like, there's so many parts of me that have a thought process way of living that has had experiences in that period of time where has shaped my personality and the way that I react to things in my current reality, my current experience in the present moment. And so everything in my past, if I don't turn that into wisdom, I'm going to perpetuate the cycle of it basically moving me in my present moment. So if I don't heal my past, everything is going to be dictated by that past in the present moment. But when I heal that past and turn it into wisdom, I can utilize my past as knowledge. And I'm like, wow, I have that knowledge. Yes, I know I'm coming up against something uncomfortable, but no doesn't mean that it's the same thing. I am a different person than I was 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And I won't make that same mistake, or I'll do something different. But right now, thank you for allowing me to have that feeling and trying to keep me safe. But at the end of the day, like, I know that this is in my highest alignment, and that's how I know how I can move through this. That's how I know I'm going to move and be pulled by pleasure, by desire. I'm going to be pulled in that direction. I'm going to be like, no, but this is the way it goes. And then when a feeling comes up, I hear that I hear it out. I'm like, yeah, okay. Because every time we're like, okay, I'm so capable of $1 million. Let's just say $1 million a month I'm capable of. And then we feel the feeling in the body and it feels so good. And then another thought comes up. And that next thought is the thought I was like, do you actually really believe you're capable of this? It's that question. It's that egoic, small little thought that makes you stop. It like skirt, it like slams on the brakes real quick, and you're just like, whoa, just got slammed forward and just hit my head on the beeper on my car. Is that what that's called? A honker. Wait, what is that called? Why am I losing my mind right now? What is the thing? Your honk. Oh God, I have no idea. Your horn? Is that what that is? Oh my gosh. Anyway, lost myself. Squirrel. It's like you just slammed your forehead into your honk. Okay. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. And that second thought that you have is the actual thought that dictates your life. But it's such a quiet thought. It's the one, because that's why manifestation, at its like foundational level, sometimes just doesn't work, because we think, we visualize what it is that we want. We feel it in our body, what it feels like to have the thing, to already be living that life, to do whatever it is to do, make that $20K a month, have a really successful tattoo business, beautiful art, people flying all over the world, me traveling all over the world. I feel it. And all of a sudden it's like, but do you actually think you can do it? Do you actually think you're going to get there? That's going to take forever, bro. It's these little tiny secondary thoughts that happen in the brain. And unless we catch it, unless we disrupt it, That's what you're operating from. That's what contracts you. That's what shrinks your auric field. That's what shrinks the part of that field around you that repels all the other stuff that's not meant for you. But what happens when your auric field shrinks and it contracts is actually, I find it really funny because I think all the things that you're attracting in those moments, the chaos, is meant for you, because it's like, hey, I'm going to give you chaos because it's obvious that you're not going to go in the direction that you're being pulled to go in. And instead you're about to be pushed in a different direction. So I'm going to give you lots of chaos to disrupt you, to stop being pushed into another direction. And I'm hoping you're going to wake up. But we don't see the chaos as something good. We don't see the chaos trying to help us. We see it as chaos. We see it as wrong. We shame the chaos. And we shame the chaos, we perpetuate more chaos. And it's just like, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? I don't know why this is happening to me. I'm about to give up. I feel so defeated. Why? And then it's like, oh, we finally stop the pattern. We stop the chaos, and we're like, we've hit rock bottom. We have nowhere else to go but up. And this is when we surrender. And then that surrender is what opens you up to the possibilities and all the doorways and all the potential that you have. And then all of a sudden you're like, wow, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. That chaos was the best thing that ever happened to me. But how about when things start happening, we stop it before it gets to that point. I don't believe that everybody has to have a rock bottom to change their entire life or to have conviction. I think it's I've had many a rock bottom and I love those rock bottoms. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where we don't have to have a rock bottom in order to disrupt the pattern within the body to change our entire lives and the way that we run our businesses and the way that we see success and the way that we do things. I truly believe that you can get better at everything that you do by disrupting that pattern. And until we can create the intention to be that aware of what is going on inside of our bodies, we will never have control of the dysregulation that happens. And honestly, you don't really have control of the dysregulation, but you do have the tools to help ease them. Because when we are in the growth journey, there's always going to be dysregulation because we are pushing against our edges, because we are literally in the liminal space between who you were to who you're gonna be. And if I'm in that hallway, in that in-between space, then of course it's gonna feel loopy. It's gonna feel weird. I'm gonna be like, why does it feel like I'm putting on the pair of pants that just don't fit right? Because I'm not used to it. And when I'm not used to things, what happens? We wanna back up. We wanna be pushed into a space of pressure and be like, no, I'm gonna go back to where I was. Although that was really chaotic, I'm comfortable in that area. So we have to find the ease, the peace, the joy in the discomfort. And when we can change that, we get such an eye-opening space for us to do all the things that we want to do. We get to be as authentic as we want to be. And once I started to do that, once I really started to see the pattern, check the second thought, every time I was like, oh, I want this new iteration. I want to impact more people with my work, with my education. I want to help. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I was just like, all of a sudden I was like, oh, but yeah, do you actually want to do that for the right reasons? That was my secondary question. I was like, oh, I see myself impacting full rooms of like queen size stadiums and everybody's meditating with me, and I'm helping so many artists find their creativity and finding their inner truth and finding themselves on social media and their authenticity, And all of a sudden, that secondary thought, I could feel it in my body. I could see all the people. It was feeling so good, that somatic work. I was just like, yes. All of a sudden, the second thought comes through and it's like, are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you just trying to be famous? Are you just trying to make a lot of money? And of course, when those thoughts come up, I was like, oh no. I mean, maybe not that. Maybe I don't want to make that much impact. Maybe I don't want to, like, maybe not too much. Maybe not too disruptive. Maybe. And of course, I would hold myself back. But then the moment I started to recognize, I was like, wait a minute. Am I going to shame the part of me that does want a ton of money? Because money in the hands of good people do great things. Am I going to shame the part of me that wants to help a lot of people, help serve a lot of people? Do I want to be famous? Is that something that like would be awesome? Hell yeah. Why am I going to shame those parts of myself? The more I shame it, the more I shrink my auric field, the more chaotic my life is. The more my manifestation skills are kind of like awry, because I'm like, is that really what you want? You just shamed it right there, girl. We just shamed our own authenticity. And that's why it's so hard for people to be authentic online, because they're like, oh, I want to be authentic online. I really, really want to show myself. I want to show my vulnerability. And then the moment they go to do it, they're like, oh, you know what? That's too vulnerable. You know what? Actually, like, I don't want to show everything about myself. Like, that's just me. I don't want to show everything about myself. Like, I don't have to share everything about myself. You start to hear that rebelliousness in the body, where people are like, I don't want to share everything about me. That's not my vibe. I'm actually a really private person. And I'm like, you can absolutely still be a private person, absolutely keep things to yourself without having that rebellious vibe in you. There is such a beauty of acceptance and surrender to who you are. And when you're like, I'm open to say anything. I'm open to say anything. But then when you go to say something and that doesn't feel good in the body, then you ask why. Why doesn't it feel good? Is this my ego or is this my intuition? Always the question I ask every single time I have a decision I got to make. Even just the smallest ones of like, do I want to post today? No. Ego or intuition? Intuition. Okay. And it's so funny because every time I do that, all of a sudden I come up with the best ideas to post. And then I'm like, no, but then those get to be for tomorrow and the next day. And I get to refine it and just do better and just make it better instead of just fucking full sending it, because I trust in my intuition. And that's what I do. And that's what I've been doing. And I've been noticing like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. It feels so good in my body. I'm proud of this thing, even whether or not it gets a lot of engagement or not. I don't make anything about myself. But that's the thing. It's like, if I am open to being as vulnerable as possible to the point where I'm like, listen, the color of my labias are, and I would say it, you know what I mean? It's like, I have no problem talking about that shit. But is that really something that I want to say? Is that really something that's like, you know, or talking about my relationship or whatever it is. Like, I am open to saying anything. Like, I have nothing to hide. And that's the thing. So when I have nothing to hide, whatever I choose to say or not say is done from divinity. It's done from sovereignty. It's done from personal power over, oh, I'm a private person. I don't tell everybody everything. It's like, duh, I don't tell everybody everything. I never tell everybody everything. Not everybody knows everything about me. But my whole vibe, the thing that I am all about, my values, my characteristic, what I represent, what my brand represents, is integrity, authenticity, ingenuity. Of course, I'm so fucking willing to put myself on like a fucking, you know, fire pit and just being like, yeah, I have no shame to talk about everything, even my most insecure things, even my most shameful moments. And if I'm open to that reality, if I'm open, honestly, I'm that open, I'm so honest about that. I'm like, yes, I am so willing to say anything and be as open and vulnerable as possible. And when I do that, it actually guides me in what I do or don't say. Over being like, I'm a private person. What do I actually share? What don't I share? Those questions are you creating your own blocks from your own subconscious programming of what you should or should not say. And when we should and shouldn't ourselves, we are giving into the third dimensional matrix paradigm for societal conditioned beliefs that you have created within the body. And that's okay. Just recognize it for what it is. I'm too shy, I'm too introverted, I don't know what to say, You know what to say. It's just you're afraid to say it. And when we can be okay with that, there's no shame in being afraid of anything. But that's the problem, is that we shame our fear. when fear is just as real as love. But when I can love that fear, oh my gosh, that fear turns into love all of a sudden. Duality. That's what this life is all about, you guys. So I want you to take the time in this moment to journal, to find your way of getting into that healing mode, to listen to that second thought every time you are trying to manifest something or bring something about in your life. Every time things are going chaotic, where can you see the gift in the rock bottom? And journal about it, somatic healing, do some tapping, get into meditation, do some theta healing, some somatic work, dance, live, laugh, love, go do some yoga. Like, that's a vibe. Opening yourself up to healing your energy, to healing your auric field, to realigning your chakras, your energy centers, and allowing yourself to be moved forward with no shame of anything that you're feeling, and being actually so okay that you actually end up loving all of your insecurities. That's how you will become authentic. And that's why in the post that I had created about I am the girl that is a goofball, she's a lover and she's very disciplined and blah, 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 blah. But I'm also the girl has super mad insecurities, has imposter syndrome all the time, who has anxiety and sometimes leads into a depression, that where I fall into a Netflix hole watching superheroes just to make myself feel better. And sometimes I numb out with weed. And then I'm also this other girl who loves her body, who loves her man, who loves to work out, who loves spirituality, mental health, tattooing, who loves art, who loves to be creative, who's super successful, who, can literally buy anything that she wants to without having to think about it or look at her bank account to see if she can or can't. Like, these are the things that I can do. And then there's also the other side of it. And I don't make the other side of it wrong. Just because I have all this other stuff, I have inner and outer wealth. I have so much abundance coming in and out of my life. It's fucking amazing and crazy and disgusting all at the same time, like in the best of ways, but it's like at the same time, like I do have all of the insecurities, all of the doubts. I still have moments where I'm like, I'm out of integrity. I have moments where I'm like, I get depression and anxiety and I have bad mental health days. But do I make those days wrong anymore? No. That's the difference between me now and me then. The past me from all those years, for pretty much 30 years. Over 30 years. So it's like, where can we really get aware of where we're shaming ourselves? Where are you shaming yourself? Where are you putting so much emphasis on what you shouldn't be feeling, instead of just allowing it to be and having a practice to doing that? Practicing is going to be your best weapon. The practice of somatic healing, the practice of meditation, the practice of yoga, the practice of going inward, the practice of internal questioning. There is so much inner knowledge and wisdom within you that is not made from the logical mind. It's something different. And that part of you wants to speak loud, but it only gets a little voice from you because everything else is so much louder. How can we turn down the noise? What is the way you turn down the noise when you get into flow, when you get into joy, when you feel fulfillment? So this is where you get to cultivate that different relationship to yourself, the different relationship to all the parts of yourself, the ones you deem not good enough, the ones you deem great. How can we marinate and marry both of those things and really live in the duality of life? And being like, yeah, it's all good. I'm not going to shame any of this stuff. I'm not going to shame what I love, and I'm not going to shame what I'm afraid of. I'm not going to shame what brings me joy, and I'm not going to shame my insecurities. How about I just leave shame on the table? And then when I have shame, can I be okay with that too? What a concept, me friends. Okay, I'm starting to sound like my boyfriend. I love you guys. I hope that was helpful. Please let me know if it was. I hope that like dropped some little bomb nuggets, little golden nuggets for yous. Because, man, could you imagine being incredibly honest with yourself and then so authentic in the online space, what that would do for your life and for your business? I don't know. I mean, I could put money on it. I'm not a betting woman, but I could put money that it would change a lot for the better. I love you guys.